That sucks. I was checking to see if Creed was somehow on Amazon Prime, because you can't do watch-alongs if people have Prime Video, but it's not.
Oh,
Unfortunate.
dude, we should find movies on Prime Video and watch them on here. Can you look up and see if Velocipaster is still on Amazon Prime?
Velocipaster? Oh no.
Yeah.
we watched this. You guys got to watch Trailer Park Shark. Had to watch it. You guys got to watch it too.
Velocipaster?
Yeah.
Yep, the thing.
There's a sequel?
Oh yeah.
On Amazon Prime Video. Watch the Velocipaster Prime Video.
Oh yeah.
I think we should start with that one, guys.
Let's start with
God.
the Assassin's Creed movie with Michael Fassbender.
God, I haven't seen that since it was out in theaters.
That's Sarah's favorite movie.
I'm not gonna lie. I had slightly rose tinted glasses when I saw that movie. Looking back on it, it was fucking shit.
As did I.
There is no reason for Jake Gyllenhaal to have played that character.
Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia?
Prince of Persia. Yeah.
Oh my god, you're right. Oh
Prince
my god.
Prince of Persia wasn't that bad. It wasn't.
Give me your movie
accurate.
card, Marcelo. Give me your fucking movie card right now.
Dude, I bought Assassin's Creed. I think I own this movie. Hold on, let me check my library.
Oh no, I had. Oh fuck, I don't have it here, but I do have it somewhere. I bought the Target version because it had an arm sleeve of his hidden blade. Because I'm a fucking nerd.
Sarah does love Prince of Persia.
I like it. Is it totally accurate to the game? No, but it's enjoyable. Ben Kingsley's in it.
It's very appropriative, but there's a lot of movies that do that. So I'm not gonna yuck your yum. Live anyway.
Oh,
I just bought Deep Blue Sea, that I am so excited to rewatch.
okay.
We should do a watch along of that. That's just classically.
Is that a good movie?
I mean, it's whatever.
I barely know anything about it. I don't really know.
Bro, we gotta watch Deep Blue Sea now.
Oh boy! All right. Well, we'll get that worked up. I guess we should get started with this review.
All right.
We can talk about this other stuff.
Yeah.
To let you know, we're going to start our review of episode 4 of The Last of Us. This is going to be containing many spoilers. So if you were hoping to catch the episode untainted, leave now, go see it, and come back later. Pause us for now. Go check out the episode. We're gonna go talk into it. Probably dive deep into spoilers within the first 10 seconds. So this is your warning. But yeah, Last of Us review episode 4 coming up.
Anyways,
okay, so
episode 4.
For real this time.
So Marcelo, did you wanna lead this since
Yeah, let's talk about it, guys. So again, if you're here, obviously we're talking about episode 4 of The Last of Us. Came out Sunday, February 5th. This was a 55-minute episode, guys. Super short, but we got a ton of new characters introduced. 2 major characters at the end of this episode that really take you for that's kind of, I feel like, the halfway point of the game. I feel, when you meet Sam and Henry, right? It's about halfway.
it's so in the game when you meet Sam and Henry, that's like I want to say it's the first big event in the game.
Yeah, because the tank is a boss battle, right?
It's been a while. It's been a while, but the events in the show compared to the game are not too far off. There has been a few things changed just to make it make sense for the show. For the most part. Oh yeah, by the way, spoiler warning is enacted for everybody. So in the game, it's not Kansas, it's Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. But for the show where they're to have them get to Wyoming, it made more sense for them to go through Kansas. So that's like, and also apparently like some production thing was like the city that they were shooting in looked more like Kansas anyway. So like, oh fuck it, we'll just make it Kansas. And it's not a big deal. It's whatever. But the show is giving more emphasis on this group of people, where in the game they are just known as the Hunters. And they're just kind of there.
Mm-hmm. There's not too much context to what they're doing, but on this one, like we see like the full motivation behind why they're chasing the two people that they're chasing, and you know, a lot of what's being developed. So, you know, let's get into it from like the beginning. Interesting again to see the Joel and Ellie relationship begin to develop more. Love that the whole pretty much first couple minutes of the episode was right out of the game with the magazine. I thought that was super funny.
Perfect.
It was perfect, right? It's like that's what you were wanting.
Yeah.
But again, I think what the show is doing really well is the tension building. You know, I started getting nervous like from the minute they pull up to Kansas City and like they saw that the big rig was like had that tunnel blocked off. I was like, oh fuck, something's about to happen. Which again, I mean, in the game, you know what's happening, but the show does such a good job of setting the kind of the vibe and the ambiance for this, and it just like really, again, it's just so good at tension building. So, you know, as they're driving through the city, you know, like, you know what's about to happen. Mm-hmm. And you know, it was a really powerful scene. You know, they get crashed, they crash into that building, and you know, this whole fight starts. And what you really saw from that point too, well, actually, let me bring it back a little bit, because let's talk about that scene in the forest, right?
Yeah, let's
talk about that, because I feel like that was really important, just because you're starting to really see Joel's affection and caring for Ellie, you know, which he was, you know, he said, get some sleep, but he's the one that stays up all night regardless.
It was such a good scene just because like it's such a weird parallel, because this is literally the first episode where we start to actually see that Joel and Ellie relationship start to build and grow.
Yeah, with the joke. It all started with the book of jokes, right? Like you start to see that he's breaking.
Because when they're in the truck driving towards Kansas, right? Like Joel throughout this whole show so far has been very closed off and very like, every time Ellie would ask him questions, he would be like, no, or he would give very short answers. Like this is the first time we've ever heard Joel talk for a long period of time. Like have just a big chunk of dialogue, just like explaining things. Where like Ellie was like, just like asking about like, you know, like who's Tommy, like what's your like, how are you doing with like Tommy, like, and then he was like, oh, I don't know if I have time to get into it. It's like we have 25 hours of time. Like you could talk about it, and he does, and he starts to open up a little bit, and it's really nice. And like you're saying with the forest, he does something that seems uncharacteristic for what we know him so far in the show, where in the truck he was like, no, like Tess was like family, you're cargo, like you're a task I need to do. And to have Ellie, you know, have that pun book and like making the really bad puns, and then ask us like, hey, are we okay in this forest? And he's like, yeah, we're fine, get some sleep. And like you said, pan to like Ellie like trying to sleep, and then Joel is like watching the perimeter, like not sleeping, and it's just like you're seeing development there, and it's cool.
Well, I mean, definitely that, and also like she told him a joke, and he answered with the answer for the joke, right? Like he knew the answer. So it's like, again, it's just showing this change in him of his, like he's trying not to get connected, but you're starting to see it happen a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And of course he has a job to do, so it's like, but the care that he takes for her, like, so they crash, they're in that convenience store, whatever building they crashed into. Joel tells Ellie to get through that hole. She does it, gets through the hole or whatever, and then Joel gets kind of caught off guard and is getting choked out by that dude with a shotgun, right? And then Ellie, to the rescue, because she kept Frank's gun, shoots the guy. Doesn't kill him, which I think in the game she kills him. I think she shoots him in the head or something like that in the game.
So it just shows the differences, because in the game when you're fighting people, it's like you're fighting them to the death and that's it. Where this show is showing more of the humanity in everybody. So it's just like that touch that gets so surreal, and like this whole time Ellie's been like asking for a gun, and it's like, oh, can I have a gun? Can I have a gun? And it's like, oh, can I take one of Bill's guns? He has so many of them, to the point where she ends up taking Frank's gun. And she's so gung-ho about it, to where like she seems like she's ready to like, use it. And then when she ends up using it on this hunter, right? And you could immediately see just like the realization of like, oh, I might have not been ready for this. Like this might be actually too much for me at the moment.
And the guy's like begging for his life, and Joel's like, okay, you know what, I'm going to take care of this. You just go behind that hole, which that scene was pretty powerful. I feel for Joel to have to finish killing the guy, and all we see is just her behind the wall. It's like, she's still a kid. Like she's trying to act, and she is very mature, but it's like, taking a life, man, it's a hard thing.
Yeah. But it's also not to gloss over how, I don't want to say damaged. I mean, everybody's pretty kind of damaged in this story, but notice how when she did shoot the guy, and you start to see the realization on her face is like, oh, this is not how I thought it was going to go at all. Like she thought it was going to be like one and done kind of thing, where it's like, the guy's pleading for his life, and she's just kind of standing there. Yeah. And it kind of goes with the idea of having both Joel and Ellie kind of being in this weird position where they're not fully able to kind of like grasp all of their emotions yet, or just know exactly what to do in the situation, because Joel doesn't like necessarily, comfort Ellie or like, tell Ellie it's okay. Like he just says, go over there, and like immediately just kind of like, brushes off that kind of fact where she just shot somebody for a second.
Yeah.
And you see she goes back into the other room through the hole, and you can see that she starts to cry a little bit, but then immediately when Joel's like doing the deed, she like wipes her tears away, and she like, deflects those emotions.
Yeah.
So you could tell that there's some processing that Ellie had to go through to make it be like okay for her.
Yeah, and then this episode is definitely like wrong place, wrong time type of vibes. Like maybe a couple weeks before or a couple weeks after, they would have been through okay, but it just happens to be in the middle of this uprising with Kathleen and the hunters, and it's just like she has it in it that these people are out to get her, and they're working with the two people that they're looking for, and it was like, oh man, this person is definitely using scare tactics to control this group of people, right? That was, and I thought that she did a really good job of kind of playing playing them that way, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think she believes that that's her truth. But I was like, oh damn, and then they're just going to start breaking into houses and like searching everything, and you know, we get to see our first little preview of a bloater, which I think we're getting ready to.
And Joel, you're just mentioning how you just met the bloater in the game for the first time. So what did you think after seeing that?
I was like, oh, this how are they going to take time? In the episode, I know we're kind of jumping around a little. They show the guy who plays Tommy in the game plays a new character named Perry.
Jeffrey Pierce. Yeah.
He goes with Kathleen to like this area where there's like this ground is like rising up and down, and I think that's where the bloater is going to come out. It's going to like kaiju of the month, kaiju of the week, fucking pop out and start wrecking house. And I don't know, like of course in a video game, I feel like you're always stronger, right? Like they're definitely one and done kind of humans, you know. So I'm like, they definitely got to think past how to get past this. Like I don't even know how they're gonna do it, like in the game, like let alone the show. So I'm just wondering how creative they're gonna be and what they're gonna do as far as that goes. So I'm excited. You know, I've been waiting to see the bloater come to life, and yeah, you know, a tank zombie is always a big deal, no matter what series it is. So I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's very interesting. Because technically, this happens after you're supposed to meet a bloater for the first time, but since they changed what they changed in episode 3 for the best of reasons, I think. Yeah. This is the first time they're going to be encountering this type of infected, and yeah, like you say, I think it's going to be interesting because we don't know exactly how they're going to do it. Because so far, all the infected have been mostly practical for the most part. So it's going to be interesting to see something that's so drastically different than what we've seen so far. Hopefully.
Did you guys watch the episode 5 preview?
Mm-hmm. I did.
It looks pretty sick. It's gonna look pretty cool.
I want to see it in motion. I want to judge it based on the end result. You know. I wanted to kind of go back to the new character Kathleen for a second.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about her? Because it took me a bit to kind of grasp on how I feel about this character in this situation.
Yeah, it seems to me like that it's definitely a character who's experienced a lot of trauma, right? So she's definitely very jaded. But are her actions that she's taking the right actions, right? Is that really the right way to go about it? You know, It's definitely seems like a vengeful type of character who's just out to kill and destroy anybody who's, you know, harmed her, people she loves and stuff like that. You know, I'm okay with her character. There was I mean, I think next episode, I think again it's going to continue to evolve, but she definitely has a grip on these people. Like she's definitely gotten into their heads about, you know, the Fedra corruption, stuff like that, which I mean, she could be 100% right. You know, she could totally be right on that. That's not something that we see. So it's like, I'm still kind of, I mean, I don't think she's a good guy by any means, but I don't think she just happens to be in Joel and Ellie's way, and she just happens to feel like they're a threat to her. And all they want to do is just get on through. That's like, they don't give a shit about anything else.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Joel? What did you think?
Marcel hit all the right points, and I just wanted to add, like, for the end of the episode description, like, it's definitely clear that like they're becoming the thing they hated most. They're becoming Fedra, you know. We see them breaking down the houses, looking for people, executing people. She's straight up like, after 2 of her like lieutenants or whatever die, she goes to that doctor and just puts him down, like boom, like without hesitation. Which that first scene, it's like they know each other, they have history, but she's kind of like, I have a job I need to do, and you're in my way. And then just to see her reach that boiling point, it's like, you know what, you're in my way, and people who are in my way die. So it's crazy. I just want to see how it unfolds. But to me, it's like, yeah, she's kind of like a fascist, honestly. Like, you can't trust her. She Like, I could you negotiate with her? Yeah, probably with like if a gun is at her head and she's disarmed, maybe. But I don't think it's gonna be peaceful at all, for sure. And especially for me, because I'm not familiar with what's gonna happen. Like in this section of the game, I don't even know if there is a Kathleen character.
No, she's a completely new character for the show.
I know they mentioned that they're sorted. I just wonder if there's like any little time.
No,
That's cool.
Because like the game itself, it's literally just a group of people that are they just call them hunters, and they're just people going around fucking with shit in the city. There's no like in the game. There's no like really organized group. You know,
like anarchists do whatever the fuck they want, essentially.
Yeah.
Cool. What about you? Anything else you got to add?
Well, I just think it's interesting because I guess the reason why I kind of had a hard time trying to figure out her as a character, like Kathleen as a character, is because she seems like the most not likely person to be leading this group of like resistance fighters. Like she doesn't feel like she has that much power, and yet she does. And I'm kind of hoping that in episode 5 they kind of explain more of how she kind of got that power. Maybe like she was the reason why like everybody started gathering up, because like she said, like Fedra imprisoned her brother and ended up killing him, right?
Yep.
So I don't know if that like sparked something in her to like rally up as much people as she could, and like they felt like she like I want to know why people think that she can lead, right? Because we go back to the scene where Perry is showing her the bloater, or like the thing in the ground. What we know is going to be a bloater, but it's, you know, they don't know what it is exactly. And her reaction is, you know, let's not tell people yet. Let's just save this for later. Figure out the Sam and Henry thing first. And it's like Perry being the guy who is like, he's military trained and he knows when shit's important. Like you can see on his face where he's like, all right, you know, this seems like something that we should pay attention to, but I'm going to do what you say. You know, it's obvious that she's not the best leader, or at least in this situation, but she has a sort of like power over everybody.
Right.
Even though it's not necessarily like seen or talked about, like there's something that apparently she can do better than everybody else, and I haven't seen what that is yet, and I'm hoping that we do. You know.
Yeah, you know, I mean, again, I don't think there was too much more to talk about this episode except the last couple minutes where they've broken into the apartment, and you know, again, they're having a little bit more playful moments. You know, Joel is asking about Ellie's background because she says it's not the first time that she's killed or tried to kill something. So now he's like, what do you mean? She's, you know, she deflects. Mm-hmm. And then they fall asleep, which was what was crazy to me is, you know, he laid out all that glass. He's like, I don't want anybody sneaking up on us. And sure enough, 2 people get in there and they sneak up on him. I feel like something that I found really interesting was that he was laying with his bad ear up. I don't know if you guys caught that, but his worst ear was the one that was on that side. So it's like, was that because he felt, he didn't hear anything. So was that because he was kind of let his guard down with Ellie being there? Did he feel a little bit more trusting? Like that was a really interesting decision for that to happen, or shit, he must have just been really freaking tired, you know, like who knows?
It's a long day.
But, the boy that plays Sam, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the kid?
Yes.
He, boy, man, it broke my heart seeing him with like the superhero paint on his face.
Oh yeah. You know? Based off the drawings he's been doing. One thing I think is interesting is that for the show, they're making him deaf.
Really?
Yeah. So
interesting.
I don't know. I have to double check. I think the kid that's playing him is deaf. So they just made Sam deaf for the show, which I think will be interesting to see how that plays out. Because in the game, they're just, two brothers, trying to survive and whatnot. But yeah, but boy, before that happened, like, just what a moment where Joel and Ellie are finally being able to have like one of those really good bonding moments for like the first time. Yeah. Like Ellie just makes that one last like bad pun joke, and then Joel just like slowly just kind of like cracking up, and then they just both share a laugh together, and it was such a sweet moment.
And again, we're just, it's just gonna get darker and darker as we get into the end game, like if whoever knows what's gonna happen to Sam and Henry, like I'm just so curious how they're gonna play that, how they're gonna do that, just because seeing the little boy like broke my heart. I was like, fuck, yes, I don't know.
They say they're not going to deviate as much as well from going forward. Like episode 3 was like their biggest deviation.
So it's going to be interesting. One little thing I just wanted to bring up, since we're kind of done, the parallels between the game and the show. When Joel and Ellie are kind of hiding out, waiting for the resistance fighters to kind of like move away. And they're just hanging out in like that little convenience store or whatever the fuck they're in. I thought it was nice how they changed it, how Joel reacts to Ellie having the gun, because in the game he straight up yells at her. He's like mad that she has a gun, where in the show he's more mad at himself that Ellie had to shoot a guy. Because he didn't want her to have to do something like that, and so he sees it more as a fault on himself, and then that's where we get to the point where, Ellie's like, "Oh, this isn't the first time I've had to like shoot somebody or kill somebody," and then they just kind of have that moment where. Joel is starting to kind of show more of his softer side, where he's kind of like showing, he's like, man, I really didn't want you to have to like kill somebody. I didn't want this for you, kind of thing. And it's just like, that was a nice change, because we could have had Joel very mad at her, but I felt like it was a nice change just based on where they are in the show.
It's a building trust moment, it's setting again the boundaries of that relationship and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then he had like a really nice moment where he was showing her how to like correctly like hold the gun, right. And like understanding it's like, hey, this isn't like this is something that he couldn't do with his daughter. Like he would have never done this with Sarah. No. And so to like have this moment, it was like very like a special like bonding moment, kind of, because like, okay, show me how to hold a gun, and she holds it, and it's like that looks like shit. It's like, well, this is how Fedra told us. So like, well, that explains everything. And it was just one of those like nice moments that we're gonna start to see more and more of these personal moments with them, and I'm kind of interested to see. There's actually one episode that I'm really waiting to see, and it's the episode where they make it to Tommy's. Because I think anybody who's seen the game knows that special moment. It's a scene that gets played over and over and over again on TikTok for The Last of Us, and I'm really seeing if they could pull it off, where when we get to that point, there is enough investment in the relationship where it feels earned and justified.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely get there. With this episode, this episode's getting a lot of hate because it wasn't the emotional like hit that episode 3 was, or like the action of 2. But it's like this scene, this arc is decently long. Like there's a lot to introduce. You needed this like character building episode to really, because like next episode seems like it's just going to be like a straight marathon, right, to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually, as we're talking about this, I actually enjoyed. It's making me enjoy the episode for what it was, even more than when I came into it, and I liked the episode already. Yeah, like I said, it wasn't like, oh my god, explosions and clickers and a bunch of infected, but it's like you're establishing motives for what people are doing, and it's going to be interesting to see how that rolls into this Friday's episode of The Last of Us.
Oh, that's right. It's on a Friday.
It's on a Friday this week.
Thanks to the Super Bowl. The CP Bowl.
So we will watch this on Friday, and I will be watching the Super Bowl on Sunday. So
shit.
Watch it Saturday morning.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
But yeah, that was pretty much episode 4, guys. Nothing too crazy, but we liked it.
Lots of, you said, character building and motives and stuff. It was really well done.
Yeah. And we technically didn't get any clickers in this episode.
Nope.
Technically.
It's all when breathing. I mean, not really clicker.
Oh, the next evolution.
Yeah, next step.
All right. Well, cool.
Well, thank you guys. If you stuck around for this, we really appreciate you being with us on this fun Tuesday evening, wherever you're at. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as we did. And if not, let us know. And if you did, let us know. We're always happy to hear the feedback.
Yeah. And of course, for people out there listening or watching this post live stream, thanks for watching and listening. Of course, you could always comment down below on the YouTube, or if you are on podcast services, please, if you can rate us, that'd be awesome. We really would appreciate it. We always want the feedback. And yeah, we appreciate you all hanging out with us.
Oh, yeah.
Good night, everybody.